the biggest thing you have to get the team to adjust to when they go to one of these tournaments and you play 2 in 2 days on a neutral court, but really in the first game it's going to be a visiting court?
Yeah, I mean, it's you don't worry about Sunday. You worry about Saturday. And the older guys have been through the routine before, and the younger guys are going through it for the first time. And that's why you play in these events. If we're all going to play in the SEC tournament, but if you're fortunate enough to win, you get to play the next day, and you can't worry about the next day until you get through the first day. And so it's all part of the learning process. I guess that's the popular word in sports now. The process. It's all part of the normal things. You don't jump out of your crib and run a 100-yard dash. You kind of crawl and walk and run and everything else you do kind of it's the same way. So. This will be good. This will be real good for us this weekend. I'm excited. I'm excited to see how our team plays this weekend.
Overall, with these kind of exempt tournaments, Frank, and you guys have been all over Mexico to Myrtle Beach to up north. Do you have a preference on where you go every year? Does it just kind of fit in where you can?
I like going where it's warm, to be honest with you, because it's the Hall of Fame. It's the Hall of Fame, and Chris Silva has got family up in the area. It's an area we recruit, so it made a lot of sense. And it's always good to get north, though. When the season changes and stuff, just feel it. I'm just happy I don't have to deal with it every day.
Don't want to get too bogged down in a cliche, but they always say, like, the first time you take a team away from home, it could help them, especially with a young team. Yeah. How do you expect that impact on this particular squad?
Well, good thing is the opponent going up on a bus and getting to Virginia Tech and preparing the night before and getting out of bed and going to play, it prepared us to play an opponent away from home. How do we respond? Because it's going to be a pro-Providence crowd. They've got a great following. It's 40 minutes from their campus, so it's going to be a pro-Providence crowd. How do we handle being in a true road environment? I don't know. I'll tell you on Saturday after the game. We've got some older guys, and we got some younger guys that have played in other countries, and in world tournaments, things of that nature. So we just have to. I've never been one. This is me. I've never been one that I sit around and talk to our team about winning away from home is hard. Winning anywhere is hard. Our job is the opponent, not the environment, and we have to learn how to play to who we are, regardless of where the game takes place.
You signed 2 guys in this, I guess, early signing period. Just what are your thoughts on, I guess, Wildens and Trey for a lot of talk about?
Yeah. Wildens, Levesque, it's one of those deals. We're doing our recruiting deal back in April, and I went to see someone else play. And they were playing against his AAU team, the Mass Rivals, and I really, really respect how that team is coached and ran. Actually, we're playing the 2 guards from Providence that played for that same AAU team. I got a lot of respect for how how Vin runs that AAU team, how they coach them, how they play. So I wanted to see the kid that we were recruiting play against that team because of the competitive nature of the game. And when I left the game, I was like, who is that? And then we stayed on him. We stayed on him. There's a relationship there with the folks from the Mass Rivals and in Massachusetts, not just from my time there, but also from Chuck's time at UMass. And we just worked. And I think Wildens is it's going to be real good. He's a competitive young man. I'm big on growth. I think you've all figured that out by now. I don't, I like kids that keep getting better. Who he was 2 years ago to who he is now, it's day and night. 9 times out of 10, kids that get better throughout high school will get better throughout college. And he's a worker. He's got great hands. He's got an instinct to block shots. Obviously, losing Chris, getting athleticism with size was important to us. So we're excited about Wildens, and he can shoot. He's got a great form on his shot. When I see bigs play, when they shoot free throws, is where I kind of go, or I go, okay. His free throws, what I say, I use the word, it's just my terminology, it's clean. That means the shot is normal. It's the elbow under the ball, one hand, good rotation, it's a soft shot. So I'm excited about that, and he's a runner, which is important because of how we play. And then, you know, Trey, I absolutely love Trey Hannibal. You know, I saw him play at our team camp going into his sophomore year, and I was like, that kid's pretty good, and no one knew about him. And, you know, kind of that's been his story in high school. Never gotten the credit for how good he is. I think he's a stud. I think Chuck Martin, I hired Chuck, and I said to him, hey, go see this kid play. You know, Chuck's coming from Indiana. He's a New York guy. He recruits all those New York guards that I love. And he calls me when he left Hartsville, and he said, Frank, we can't let this guy go. I said, that's why I sent you over there, because I've watched him so much that, you know, that I'm starting to think that my eyes are deceiving me. But I think he's real good, and he's tough as nails. He's got hands the size of a catcher's mitt. Passes the ball. He plays downhill. You guys that have seen him, he's got freakish athleticism, but plays with pace. He plays like a basketball player. He doesn't play like an athlete. And can you imagine when that guy gets in the weight room with Scott and starts eating college meals and with our nutritionist and our daily deals, when he learns to sit down on the half-court line and guard the ball? Think Dwayne Notice with like elite athleticism. That's who he can become, and it's always great when a South Carolinian stays and plays with that word. I tell kids all the time, and Trey embraced this. This is a small state. This is a state where people are very proud, and when they can serve, and they're proud of their history, they're proud of their background, their roots. That's why when they're all done playing, the majority of them come back and live in their state. When they can surround their heart with the two most important names, the name that brought them in the world and the name that they grow up representing, it's powerful. And Trey's getting ready to do that, and he loves it, and he can't wait to be a Gamecock, and we're just as excited for him to be a part of what we do.
Along those lines, point guard position, something that gave you headaches last year. As you start looking at the roster years going ahead, you got a lot of guys that can play that spot. Have you feel like you've solidified that, not only through the 19 class, but the guys you currently have now with AJ emerging there, TJ on the roster?
Yeah, when I first started at K-State, we didn't have enough point guards. I had Denny Clemente redshirting, and then my first year at K-State, he was redshirting. I had Jacob Pullen as a freshman. Then I had two combo guards as seniors in Clint Stewart and Blake Young, and they gave their all, but I didn't have enough point guards, and then we got hurt. Clint's mom passed away. Blake hurt an ankle. So we're playing a walk-on now at point, and Jacob Pullen is a freshman. And I told myself, never again. So if you actually pay attention to my recruiting going into last year, the plan was to have 3 or 4 guys that are point guards. Well, you know, we all know what happened with Rakim. That was unfortunate. We were covering our bases with PJ because PJ is a real good player, and I knew that he could leave at any time, and, you know, it's what he needed to do, which I fully supported. We've talked about that. Corey Holden was not somebody I expected to get hurt when he got here and just couldn't stay healthy. So we recruited to have multiple point guards. It's what I believe in. And obviously everything went down the way it did last year, and we had to manage it, make the best of it. We tried to do our best. The kids that played it did everything they could, but we addressed that in recruiting. And moving forward, you know, I like having three point guards on the roster at all times, and I feel good about that going into next year.
Just from his build, can TJ profile like a Pullen type player?
Yeah, he's different. He's different. Jacob was shorter, more compact. Jacob was 200 pounds. TJ's you're talking about Jacob Pullen, right? Yeah. Jacob was shorter, more compact. TJ's longer, lankier, more to use a comparison, I think TJ can not, I don't know if he's going to become this player, but defensively play more like Sindarius, who's a guy that understood mindset and length to understand angles and keep guys in front of him. You know, I'm excited about TJ. TJ, before TJ started dealing with his foot, he was actually playing pretty well. And so I'm hoping that he can get back to that place.
That message you were talking about, you try to send to people who are in state, how hard and how difficult is it to get that across, especially?
It's not hard. It's not hard. You can't sign them all. People have to do what's right for them, not what's right for me, not what's right for this university. I just put something on Twitter today. Seventh Woods, one of the most incredible kids and families that I've met in my time in South Carolina. He didn't come to school here. He had to do what was in his heart. That doesn't make him a bad guy. He loves South Carolina. We made it a hard decision for him. Kids have to do what's right for them. All I know is this: the guys that have come, Marcus Stroman, he transferred. Marcus and I have stayed in touch since the day he left here. Jalen Shaw, he came and left. I'm using the two guys that transferred. I couldn't be happier. I told Cliff Ellis, take him. I couldn't be happier for the career he had at Coastal. And then the guys that stayed, Sin, PJ, Justin. I've said this multiple times. They got college degrees. PJ does not because he left early. The two guys that were good enough are both in the NBA. Justin Mackey, I hired him, got a degree. They played in a Final Four. I mean, I can't worry. We all spend too much time always worried about what doesn't happen or what we don't have. I like caring and worrying about the ones that do come. That's where Trey Hannibal, he believes in who we are. He's seen it firsthand. His parents were on board. His parents are tremendous. And I'm excited, man. I'm telling you, I think Trey and Wildens fit who we are. That's the other part. I'm not into recruiting to satisfy recruiting websites, to satisfy people to sell subscriptions to people that don't know, to make them think that they know who I should recruit. I'm going to recruit who fits South Carolina. I'm going to recruit who fits Ray Tanner, who fits Harris Bastides, and who fits our program. And those are the guys that we pursue, and the guys that we just got, I think, fit that profile.
When you were recruiting A.J. Lawson, did you expect him to play as much point as he has to the start? And I guess, what does he bring you defensively with that kind of length?
Yeah, in our conversations with his coaches, with his family, playing point was important to them. AJ, I did this at the press conference. It's all these darn J's are driving me nuts. AJ is he just says, where do you want him to play? And he goes to play. He's got to learn how to play with pace. Point guards, when I watch film and I see guys that play too fast, it's hard for them to play point because they're always going 100 miles per hour. Point guards have to play with pace. They got to know when to go, when to slow down, when to play in between, when it's a time to be aggressive offensively, when it's a time to kind of take the foot off the pedal. And AJ is one of those aggressive guys. He wants to come at you every time. And that's the part that he's got to learn. But his ability to see, to read, to learn, to accept coaching tells me that he's got a chance to become a real good one.
Frank, in these games against tougher competition, obviously you need your better players to shine, and Chris has done that in the past with Kentucky, things like that. The Final Four run. You mentioned the other day you need to get him going offensively. I think he's taken something like 30% of his shots to the rim to this point. What do you like? Do you call things different? I know he's getting looked at a little bit from a defensive standpoint. How do you strategize to get him going? Or is that something that he just has to kind of naturally take on?
It's got to come more from – it's a combination. I shouldn't say more from him. That's not fair. It's a combination. When I said in the press conference the other day, I said I've got to help. I've got to put him in a place where he can get some to a place where he can be aggressive offensively so he can just go. And then he's got to trust in what he's done for 3 years here that he can go. I saw that. I saw some decisive offensive moments from him in the game the other night that I hadn't seen in the first couple games. He took that short corner baseline jump shot, which I want him to shoot. He caught the ball in the middle of their kind of matchup zone And he immediately, because he knew what was going to happen behind him, he immediately looked and put it on Kotsar for a reverse layup, which was a big-time play. He caught another one in the mid-post. He didn't hold it and hesitate. He turned to his strong shoulder, knowing he had a smaller player on him, and just jumped over the top and shot it, kind of a jump hook, if that's what you want to call it. I've got to help him get to where he can play with that aggressiveness, and it'll happen. He's too good a player. He's worked too hard. You know, I'm not into predicting, is he going to play good Saturday or Sunday or because it's Michigan or Kentucky. I got no idea. You know, I got no idea. I really don't. I don't waste my energies on that. I want him to have a peace of mind so he can be aggressive, and I got to help him and those young guards all understand how to play better together so they both – see, the better the guards understand him and the better he understands the guards, the harder we're going to become to be defended, because we got guards that can do different things than we had last year, which should open up the court for Chris.
Is Trey Campbell, is he getting close to where he should be, do you feel like, after missing all that practice?
Yeah, he didn't play well the other day. You know, it's and what he has to understand is because he didn't play well, he can't. I guess it's the new way. You know, these young kids, they got these sayings now. I learned it all on social media. That tells you how intelligent I am. You know, they get in their feelings. Isn't that the new thing they all say? And he's got to learn that because the ball doesn't go in the basket for him, he can get in his feelings and take away from our feelings. And that's the mistake he made the other day. And that's being new to our program. You know, I'm not saying that happened or didn't happen at Georgetown. I have no idea, nor do I really care what happened. I just need him to understand for us, I don't care if you're 0 for 15. You have to play with a relentless, aggressive attitude. That ball going for you, put in the work. And he's been good. He needs repetitions. You know, he's starting to get those. The healthier we get, you know, the better it's going to be for him. Not just him getting healthy, but having more guys in practice where he's got to compete. And you know, Will says this all the time, Muschamp. Competition is the best ally you have as a coach. When you only got 8, 9 guys who are going to play in a game, it's hard to keep everyone on edge. When you got guys that are healthy in practice, and what we teach them is you're not competing against each other. You're competing for one another. But they know that if there's multiple options, everyone has to be sharp every day. And as we get healthier, that's going to give us more opportunities.
Frank, is there anything closer to resolution with Jermaine?
No, it's not a campus deal.
Right.
So it's hold and wait. You know, it's we're kind of a, you know, it's kind of like you're on an airplane circling around the airport and waiting for that tower to say it's okay to land. You know, that's kind of the situation that we're in right now. And so he's practicing. You know, I told him the other day, I said, I'm glad you're not playing because the way you're shooting it, holy cow. I think he's won for the last 2 weeks, but that's the truth. I told him that. But he's a good player. He's a good player. He's maintained a real good attitude through this whole.
I was gonna say, how is he?
He's been great. He's been great. You'll have him here in a couple weeks, you know, when you can, you know, all them freshmen actually have an idea what college is about, and then you guys can ask him those questions that get them in trouble. But he's actually handled it a lot better than I would have. He's been real good.
How's Alonzo doing?
Good. God, I think that when we get back from this trip, he'll be cleared to go. So he's not going to play this weekend. He got tested yesterday, and he's not quite at the number he needs to be at. He's going to travel, but he's not going to play. But he's cleared to do stuff in practice right now, not just competitive stuff. He's all, you know, the 5-on-0 stuff. You know, he can do all that stuff. So, he'll get tested again Monday. So I think that sometime next week he'll be cleared and ready to go.
Is it 85% is that threshold?
Yeah. He's at 79%, if I remember correctly.
All right.
So of strength. So the one leg is 79% as strong as his good leg. So he's got to get another 6% up, which we feel confident he can get that done during this week.